The transport ship's hull groaned as it descended through the atmosphere of Xerion Prime. Inside the cargo hold, 17-year-old Maya Chen pressed her face against the small porthole, watching purple clouds swirl past the reinforced glass. Her wrists were bound with energy shackles that hummed with alien technology, and her simple Earth clothes felt inadequate against the ship's artificial cold. 3 months ago, she had been a high school student in Portland, Oregon. Now she was property of the Galactic Entertainment Consortium, destined for something called the Crucible, though none of her captors had bothered explaining what that meant. The Vorthak guard standing nearby clicked his mandibles in what she had learned was amusement. His insectoid face gleamed under the ship's harsh lighting, compound eyes reflecting her reflection back at her in fractured pieces. "Excited, little meat?" he buzzed through his translator. "You should be. Very few of your kind get to see the greatest arena in the galaxy." Maya didn't respond. She had learned that speaking only encouraged them. The ship shuddered as landing gear engaged. Through the porthole, Maya caught her first glimpse of the arena complex, a massive crystalline structure that stretched impossibly high into the alien sky. Thousands of beings moved around its base like ants, and she could see multiple species she didn't recognize. Tall, graceful beings with blue skin, squat, rocky creatures that seemed to be made of living stone, and dozens of others. "Welcome to your new home," the guard said, unlocking her shackles. "Try not to die too quickly. The audience appreciates a good show." Maya was herded off the ship along with 3 other humans, all adult males who looked like military or law enforcement. They were the only humans she had seen since her capture, and their grim expressions told her everything she needed to know about their chances. The spaceport was overwhelming. Alien languages created a cacophony of sounds that her translator struggled to process. The air smelled of ozone and something sweet that made her nose wrinkle. Gravity felt slightly lighter than Earth's, making each step feel like she might bounce unexpectedly. Their destination was a series of holding cells beneath the arena. Maya was separated from the other humans and pushed into a small room with a force field instead of a door. The cell contained a sleeping mat, a waste facility, and a food dispenser that produced gray cubes that tasted like cardboard but somehow filled her stomach. Hours passed, maybe days. There were no windows and the lighting never changed. Maya did push-ups, sit-ups, and ran in place, determined not to let her body weaken. She had been a track athlete before her capture, specializing in long-distance running and obstacle courses. Her body was lean and strong, though she knew that wouldn't matter much against whatever they planned to throw at her. Finally, a new guard appeared. This one looked like a humanoid lizard with golden scales. "Time for orientation, human." Maya was led through a series of corridors to a large chamber where dozens of other beings sat in rows. Most looked terrified. Some she recognized as sentient species she had seen in the spaceport. But others were completely alien, blob-like creatures, beings that seemed to be made of living crystal and things that defied easy description. A holographic display activated at the front of the room, showing the arena from above. It was enormous, easily the size of several football stadiums. The floor could apparently change configuration, transforming from open ground to maze-like structures to multi-level platforms. "Welcome to the Crucible," announced a voice that somehow spoke in every language simultaneously. "You have been selected for the greatest entertainment in the known galaxy. Some of you may survive long enough to earn your freedom. Most of you will provide valuable nutrition for our ecosystem." The hologram showed previous fights, creatures tearing each other apart with claws, fangs, and weapons. The crowd in the stands numbered in the hundreds of thousands, all cheering for blood. Combat is divided into categories based on threat assessment. Category 5 contestants face other Category 5 opponents. These are typically your smaller, weaker species used for warm-up entertainment. Category 1 contestants are apex predators, champions who have proven their worth. Maya felt her stomach drop as she realized where this was going. New contestants are evaluated and placed accordingly. Humans... The voice paused, and Maya could swear she heard amusement in it. Humans are Category 5. Soft, slow, weak. No natural weapons, minimal instincts, pathetically short lifespans. Perfect fodder for our younger gladiators to practice on. The hologram showed a human man, one of the 3 from her transport, being torn apart by something that looked like a cross between a tiger and a crocodile. He lasted maybe 30 seconds. Your first combat assignment is tomorrow. Rest well. Maya was escorted back to her cell, her mind racing. Category 5 meant they expected her to die quickly and badly. She thought about her life on Earth, her parents, her younger brother, her dream of running in the Olympics someday. All of that was gone now, but she wasn't going to give these aliens the satisfaction of watching her die without a fight. She spent the night exercising and thinking. Humans might not have claws or fangs, but they had something else, the ability to adapt, to think, to use tools. She examined every inch of her cell, memorizing the layout, testing the food dispenser's mechanisms. The next morning came too soon. Maya was given what they called combat gear, a simple gray jumpsuit that offered no protection and soft shoes that would provide decent grip on the arena floor. No weapons, no armor. Your opponent is a young Krillax, the lizard guard explained as they walked toward the arena entrance. Fresh from its first molt. Should be a quick fight. Maya could hear the crowd now, a sound like thunder that seemed to vibrate through her bones. The entrance tunnel was dark, but she could see bright light at the end, where it opened into the arena. "Any last words, Meat?" the guard asked. Maya looked at him steadily. "Yeah. Tell them they picked the wrong species to underestimate." The guard clicked what might have been laughter. "We shall see." The arena was even larger than she had imagined. The crowd's roar hit her like a physical force as she stepped onto the sandy floor. Above, thousands of alien faces looked down at her with hungry anticipation. The arena's dome was transparent, showing the purple sky of this alien world. At the opposite end of the arena, another entrance opened. What emerged made Maya's blood run cold. The Krillax stood 8 feet tall on powerful hind legs, with a body like a velociraptor, but covered in natural armor plating. Its arms ended in razor-sharp claws, and its mouth was full of teeth that looked capable of biting through steel. Even though it was supposedly young, it moved with predatory grace that spoke of millions of years of evolution designed for killing. An announcer's voice boomed across the arena in that universal language. "In the red corner, weighing 400 pounds, the young hunter Scarex. In the blue corner..." There was a pause that felt deliberately mocking. "Human designation Maya Chen, weighing 120 pounds. The crowd's laughter was deafening. A horn sounded, and the Krillax immediately began stalking toward her. It moved like a cat, low and patient, in no hurry to finish what it saw as an easy meal. Maya didn't wait. She sprinted directly at her opponent. This was apparently not what anyone expected. The crowd's laughter died. The Krillax hesitated, confused by prey that was attacking instead of running. Maya had been running competitively for 4 years. She could maintain an 8-minute mile pace for hours and could sprint much faster for shorter distances. On this lighter gravity world, she felt like she was flying. At the last second, she dropped into a baseball slide, passing under the Krillax's confused swipe. Her momentum carried her between its legs, and she rolled to her feet behind it, already moving before it could turn around. The creature spun with impressive speed, but Maya was already elsewhere. She had spent countless hours in obstacle courses, learning to move efficiently through complex terrain. The arena floor might be simple sand, but her opponent was now part of the obstacle course. The Krillax lunged again. Maya sidestepped and used its own momentum against it. A technique from the self-defense classes her parents had insisted on. The creature stumbled past her and Maya was already moving again. She couldn't hurt it, not with her bare hands against that armor plating. But she didn't need to hurt it yet. She needed to learn. For the next 10 minutes, Maya turned the fight into a lethal game of tag. The Krillax would attack. She would evade. It would try to corner her. She would find a way out. The creature grew increasingly frustrated, its movements becoming wilder and less controlled. Maya, meanwhile, was learning everything she could about her opponent. It was fast in straight lines, but couldn't change direction quickly. It was strong, but those powerful muscles required a lot of oxygen. It was already breathing hard. Its natural armor had gaps at the joints, and its eyes were unprotected. Most importantly, it had never fought anything like a human before. The Krillax made a mistake. It overcommitted to a lunge that would have splattered Maya against the arena wall. Instead, she rolled aside and grabbed a handful of sand, flinging it directly into the creature's compound eyes. The Krillax reeled back, temporarily blinded and clawing at its face. Maya didn't hesitate. She leaped onto its back, wrapping her arms around its neck and her legs around its torso, holding on like her life depended on it, because it did. The creature bucked and spun, trying to dislodge her, but Maya had spent summers on her uncle's ranch learning to ride horses. She knew how to move with an animal's motion instead of fighting it. More importantly, she knew basic anatomy. Every vertebrate species needed blood flow to the brain. And every vertebrate had a carotid artery. Her arms found the soft spot in the Krillax's neck armor, and she squeezed with every ounce of strength she had. The creature's struggles became more desperate, then weaker, then stopped altogether as it collapsed to the sand. The arena was completely silent. Maya rolled off the unconscious Krillax and stood slowly, breathing hard. She looked up at the thousands of alien faces staring down at her in shock. Then she raised her hand and waved. The crowd erupted. Some aliens cheered, others hissed or made sounds of disapproval. Arguments broke out in the stands between species that had clearly bet different ways. Maya was escorted out of the arena by guards who looked at her very differently than they had an hour ago. The lizard guard who had brought her shook his scaled head. That, he said, was not supposed to happen. Back in her cell, Maya allowed herself one moment of celebration. She had survived. More than that, she had won. But she knew this was just the beginning. They would give her harder opponents now, and eventually they would find something that could kill her. Unless she found them first. As she fell asleep on her thin mat, Maya Chen began planning how a Category 5 human could work her way up to Category 1. The aliens had made a mistake in bringing her here. Now, she was going to make them pay for it. Maya's second fight came 3 days later. Word of her victory over the young Krillax had spread through the arena complex like wildfire. Suddenly, guards who had ignored her were stopping to stare. Other prisoners gave her respectful nods. Even the food dispenser seemed to be producing slightly better rations. But the most important change was in how the arena masters were treating her. Category 4 assignment, announced the lizard guard, who she had learned was named Vex. His golden scales seemed brighter than before, and his tone carried a hint of respect. Congratulations, human. You have been promoted. Category 4 meant facing opponents that were actually supposed to be able to fight back. It also meant better quarters. Maya was moved to a larger cell with an actual window that looked out over the complex. She could see training areas where other fighters practiced, and she watched them carefully, learning from their movements and techniques. Her new opponent was announced as a Thraken warrior, a bipedal reptilian species known for their speed and vicious temperament. Unlike the young Krillax, this would be an experienced fighter with multiple victories. Maya used her 3 days of preparation time well. She had noticed that the food dispenser could be programmed for different nutritional profiles, and she experimented until she found settings that gave her the protein and carbohydrates she needed. She studied the arena's environmental controls, learning how the gravity, atmospheric pressure, and even the sand composition could be adjusted between fights. Most importantly, she talked to other fighters. The prisoner cells weren't completely isolated. During exercise periods and meal times, she could interact with other Category 4 and Category 3 fighters. Many were surprised that a human could communicate intelligently. Apparently, most species considered humans to be barely above animals in intelligence. "Your species is new to the arena," explained a being called Zenth, who looked like a cross between an octopus and a bear. He had been fighting for 2 years and had worked his way up from Category 5 to Category 3. "Most new species die out quickly, too specialized for their home environments." "What about species that survive?" Maya asked. "They adapt. Learn to use the arena's rules instead of fighting them. The crowd loves underdogs who show cleverness, not just brute strength." Maya absorbed this information carefully. The arena wasn't just about fighting, it was entertainment. The crowd's reaction mattered, and apparently, they enjoyed seeing clever tactics as much as they enjoyed seeing blood. On the day of her second fight, Maya was given upgraded equipment, actual combat gear instead of the simple jumpsuit. The armor was light but functional, designed more to prevent immediately fatal injuries than to provide real protection. She was also given her first weapon, a simple metal staff about as long as her arm. The arena configuration had changed. Instead of flat sand, the floor now contained raised platforms, obstacles, and even some primitive tools scattered around. Maya realized this was designed to test adaptability and tactical thinking, not just physical prowess. Her opponent entered from the opposite gate, and Maya felt her confidence waver for the first time since arriving on this world. The Thraken was massive, not just tall like the Krillax, but built like a tank. Its scales were scarred from previous battles, and it moved with the fluid confidence of something that had killed many opponents. It carried a weapon that looked like a cross between a spear and a sword, with a blade on one end and a sharp point on the other. "This is Korthak the Destroyer," the announcer boomed. 17 victories, 0 defeats, against—" The pause was shorter this time, and Maya detected actual interest in the voice. "The human Maya Chen, who surprised everyone in her debut." The crowd's roar was different now. Not just bloodthirsty anticipation, but genuine excitement. Maya realized that her previous victory had made her something of a celebrity. Signs in various alien languages were being held up in the stands, and she was pretty sure some of them included her name. The horn sounded, and both fighters began moving. Korthak advanced steadily across the arena, using his longer weapon to probe at Maya while staying at a safe distance. He was clearly a veteran fighter who had learned not to underestimate opponents regardless of their size or species. Maya used the arena's obstacles to her advantage, keeping platforms and barriers between them while she studied his technique. The Thraken was skilled, much more skilled than the young Krillax had been. His weapon work was precise, his footwork solid, and he showed no signs of the impatience that had doomed her previous opponent. But Maya had advantages he didn't expect. While Korthak was strong and experienced, he had been designed by evolution for a world with heavy gravity and thick atmosphere. His movements, while skilled, were adapted for fighting in those conditions. Maya's lighter frame and superior cardiovascular system meant she could maintain peak performance much longer than he could. She began what she thought of as Phase 1, making him work harder than he wanted to. Instead of engaging directly, she used hit-and-run tactics, forcing him to chase her around the arena while she struck quick blows with her staff whenever an opportunity presented itself. The staff wasn't designed to penetrate his scales, but repeated impacts in the same areas began to take their toll. Maya targeted joints and sensitive areas, the back of his knees, his wrist where he gripped his weapon, the base of his tail that he used for balance. After 10 minutes of this, Korthak was breathing hard and growing frustrated. His movements became slightly less precise, and Maya could see him favoring his left leg where she had landed several solid hits. "Phase 2, she murmured to herself. Maya grabbed a handful of the modified sand. She had noticed during her observation that it was more adhesive than normal sand, probably to make the arena more challenging. Instead of throwing it at his eyes like she had with the krillax, she waited for the right moment and flung it at his weapon hand just as he was winding up for a major attack. The sand stuck to his scales and his weapon grip, causing his strike to go wide. Maya was already moving, sliding between his legs again, apparently becoming her signature move, and using her staff to strike the back of his injured knee with all her strength. Korthak stumbled and went down on one knee. Maya didn't hesitate. She leaped onto his back, but this time, instead of going for a chokehold, she used her staff like a lever, wedging it under his chin and pulling back with her entire body weight. The Thraken tried to buck her off, but his injured leg couldn't support the sudden movement. He crashed forward onto the sand, Maya still clinging to his back. Maya had learned something important from watching other fights. Most arena combat ended when one fighter either died or was rendered unconscious. But there was a third option that many fighters didn't know about or were too proud to use. Submission. With her staff pressed against Korthak's throat and her legs wrapped around his torso to prevent him from rolling over, Maya called out in the arena's universal language. "Yield!" she shouted. "Yield or die!" Korthak struggled for a few more seconds, then tapped the sand with his free hand, the universal gesture of submission. The crowd went absolutely wild. Maya released her hold and stepped back, breathing hard but victorious. Korthak rose slowly, clearly embarrassed but alive. To her surprise, he approached her and extended his weapon hand in what she realized was a gesture of respect. "Well fought, small warrior," he said in heavily accented galactic standard. "You fight like no species I have encountered." "Thank you," Maya replied, accepting the gesture. "You're very skilled. I learned a lot." This seemed to surprise him even more than losing had. As Maya was escorted from the arena, she could see aliens in the crowd frantically making bets and conducting heated discussions. Her victory over an experienced Category 4 fighter had apparently upset a lot of expectations and cost some people significant money. Back in her cell, now upgraded again to Category 3/4 with even better amenities, Maya reflected on what she had learned. The arena wasn't just about individual combat. It was a complex ecosystem with its own politics, economics, and social structures. Over the following weeks, she fought 6 more times. An insectoid creature that could fly but was vulnerable to being grounded. A silicon-based life form that was incredibly strong but moved slowly. A pack hunter species that was dangerous in groups but had poor individual combat instincts. Each victory taught her something new and moved her higher in the rankings. But more importantly, she was learning about the arena system itself. Maya discovered that fighters could earn privileges beyond just better quarters. Experienced gladiators could request specific opponents, negotiate for better equipment, and even gain access to training facilities and combat instructors. The most successful fighters, the Category 1 champions, lived in luxury apartments and were treated more like celebrity athletes than prisoners. She also learned about the economics of the arena. Wealthy aliens throughout the galaxy bet enormous sums on the fights. Successful fighters became valuable assets, and the arena management had a financial incentive to keep popular gladiators alive and fighting for as long as possible. This gave her an idea. During her 8th fight, against a chemical-spitting creature that she defeated by using the arena's own ventilation system to disperse its poison clouds, Maya did something unprecedented. Instead of simply winning and leaving, she stayed in the arena and addressed the crowd directly. "Honored spectators," she called out in galactic standard, her voice somehow carrying clearly through the massive space. "I am Maya Chen of Earth. This is my 8th victory in your arena. I have come to understand that I am considered an unusual case among my species." The crowd quieted, uncertain what was happening. This wasn't part of the usual script. "I request permission to prove that humans are more than Category 5 fodder. I challenge any Category 2 fighter to face me in 1 week's time. If I lose, I will accept demotion back to Category 5. If I win, I demand immediate promotion to Category 2 and the right to train with professional instructors." The arena fell completely silent. Maya could see aliens in the expensive boxes having frantic conversations through communicators. Finally, the arena's master control spoke through the announcement system. "The human's request is unorthodox, but not without precedent. The challenge is accepted. 1 week from today, Maya Chen will face Vorthak Prime, current Category 2 champion and veteran of 43 victories." The crowd exploded into chaos. Maya could see money changing hands as new bets were frantically placed. As she was escorted from the arena, Vex the guard shook his head in what might have been admiration or disbelief. "You realize," he said, "that Vorthak Prime is the same species as the guard who first brought you here. He is 3 times your size and has been fighting in this arena for 8 years. His kind has natural armor, venom, and instincts honed by millions of years of evolution." Maya smiled. "Good. I was getting bored fighting pushovers." That night, alone in her cell, Maya Chen began planning the most important fight of her life. She had 1 week to figure out how to defeat a creature that was everything the arena designers had thought humans weren't: fast, strong, armored, and deadly. But she had something Vorthak Prime didn't have. She was human, and humans, as the galaxy was about to learn, were very good at solving impossible problems. The week leading up to Maya's challenge match against Vorthak Prime transformed her from a curiosity into the most talked-about fighter in the arena's history. Aliens traveled from across the galaxy to witness what most considered would be an entertaining suicide. The betting markets were in chaos, with odds heavily favoring the Vorthak champion, but massive amounts of money being wagered on the human underdog. Maya used every moment of preparation time. For the first time since her arrival, she was granted access to the arena's professional training facilities. The equipment was designed for alien physiologies, but she adapted what she could use and improvised the rest. Her training partners were other mid-level fighters who had volunteered to help, partly out of curiosity, partly because they had grown to respect her tactical mind. Zenth, the octopus-bear hybrid, became her primary sparring partner and tactical advisor. "Vorthak Prime is not like his younger cousins you faced before," Zenth explained as they practiced in a simulation chamber. "He has evolved beyond mere instinct. He studies his opponents, adapts his tactics, and learns from every fight. His mandibles can inject a paralytic venom that will stop your heart within minutes. His exoskeleton can deflect most weapons short of military-grade plasma cannons." Maya nodded, practicing a combination movement that used a weighted training staff. "What about weaknesses?" "His species breathes through spiracles along their thorax, small openings that can be blocked. Their compound eyes, while providing excellent motion detection, have blind spots directly above and below their field of vision. And..." Zenth hesitated. "And what?" "They are cold-blooded. Their reaction times slow significantly if their body temperature drops. But the arena's environmental controls maintain optimal temperature for all species during fights." Maya filed this information away. Environmental controls could sometimes be influenced, especially if one knew the right techniques. During her preparation week, Maya also received an unexpected visitor. The arena's head of operations, a being called Administrator Quilks, who looked like a cross between a praying mantis and a business executive, came to her cell personally. Ms. Chen, Quilks said through his translator, I must admit your request has created considerable excitement in our organization. Ticket sales for your upcoming match have exceeded all previous records. Some of our most influential patrons have requested personal meetings with you. I'm not interested in meetings, Maya said. I'm interested in winning. Quilks's antenna twitched in what she had learned was amusement. Indeed. Which brings me to why I'm here. The arena's board of directors has authorized me to make you an offer. Withdraw your challenge against Vorthak Prime, accept permanent Category 3 status with premium accommodations and extended privileges. You could live quite comfortably here for many years. Maya looked at him steadily. And if I refuse? Then you face Vorthak Prime in 3 days with a very high probability of death. He has killed 18 opponents in the past 2 years. Only 3 fighters have ever lasted more than 5 minutes against him. I'll take my chances. Quilk studied her with his multifaceted eyes. You truly believe you can win? It wasn't a question. I know I can win, Maya said. The question is whether your arena is ready for what happens afterward. The administrator left without another word, but Maya could see him conferring with guards and technical staff as he departed. Her answer had clearly created more complications than they had expected. 2 days before the fight, Maya received another visitor, Vorthak Prime himself. The champion was enormous, even by Vorthak standards, nearly 9 feet tall with an exoskeleton that looked like it had been forged from black steel. His compound eyes glittered with intelligence, and when he spoke, his voice carried the confidence of someone who had never truly been challenged. I wish to see this famous human before our encounter, he said, his galactic standard perfect, despite the clicking of his mandibles. You are smaller than I expected. You're exactly what I expected, Maya replied. Vorthak Prime tilted his head, a gesture that looked unnaturally predatory coming from his insectoid features. You speak with confidence for prey. Tell me, small human, what do you think will happen when we face each other? Maya stood and walked to the force field barrier of her cell, looking up at the towering alien champion. I think you're going to learn something about humans that the rest of the galaxy hasn't figured out yet. And what is that? Maya smiled. We're really good at killing things that are bigger than us. The champion's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. I look forward to testing that theory. Try to survive at least 5 minutes, little human. The crowd will appreciate the entertainment. On the morning of the fight, Maya woke before the artificial dawn and went through her preparation routine one final time. Physical exercises to warm up her muscles, breathing techniques to control her adrenaline, and mental visualization of the tactics she planned to use. She had requested specific equipment for the fight, not weapons, but tools, a climbing harness, friction gloves, and specially designed boots with enhanced grip. The arena masters had agreed, partly because they added nothing to her actual combat capability, and partly because they increased the entertainment value. The arena configuration for this fight was the most complex Maya had seen, a 3-dimensional maze of platforms, bridges, and obstacles that rose nearly 100 feet above the main floor. Perfect for her plan. As Maya was escorted to the arena entrance, she could hear the crowd even through the thick walls. The stands were packed beyond capacity, with viewing screens broadcasting to orbital platforms and other worlds. This was being treated as a galaxy-wide event. Any final requests, human? Vex asked as they reached the entrance tunnel. Yeah, Maya said. Make sure the crowd gets a good view. The roar that greeted her entrance was unlike anything she had experienced. Millions of voices calling out in dozens of languages, some cheering for her, others clearly betting against her. Giant displays showed odds updating in real time as last-minute bets poured in. Vorthak Prime entered from the opposite side of the arena, and the crowd's reaction doubled in volume. He was clearly a fan favorite, and his entrance was choreographed like a professional wrestling match. He raised his arms to acknowledge the crowd, his black exoskeleton gleaming under the arena lights. "Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all classifications," the announcer's voice boomed across the complex. "Tonight, we witness history. For the first time in arena records, a Category 5 species challenges for Category 2 status. In the red corner, weighing 450 pounds, with 43 victories and 0 defeats, Vorthak Prime, the Mandible of Death." The crowd's cheers shook the arena structure. In the blue corner, weighing 120 pounds, with 8 consecutive victories and 0 defeats, Maya Chen, the human anomaly. The cheers for Maya were noticeably smaller, but much more enthusiastic. She had developed a following among species that appreciated tactical fighting over brute force. The horn sounded, and both fighters began their approach. Vorthak Prime advanced with the patience of an apex predator. He had clearly studied recordings of Maya's previous fights because he made no aggressive rushes or careless moves. Instead, he began systematically cutting off her escape routes, using his superior reach and strength to control the arena's lower levels. Maya immediately went vertical. Using her climbing gear, she scaled one of the arena's tower obstacles, putting herself nearly 50 feet above the main floor. Vorthak Prime followed, his natural climbing abilities allowing him to pursue her up the structure's sides. This was exactly what Maya had wanted. At the top of the tower, Maya waited until Vorthak Prime was almost within striking distance, then jumped. Not down to the ground. That would have been suicide. Instead, she jumped to another platform, using her momentum and the arena's lighter gravity to cover a distance that would have been impossible on Earth. Vorthak Prime, committed to his climb, couldn't change direction quickly enough to follow. He was forced to climb down and begin pursuing her again. For the next 20 minutes, Maya turned the fight into a 3-dimensional chase through the arena's upper levels. Every time Vorthak Prime got close, she would leap to another platform or slide down a support cable to a different level. She was using her superior agility and the alien world's gravity to negate his advantages in size and strength. But more importantly, she was doing something else. Every few minutes, as she moved through the arena's infrastructure, Maya would pause to interact with what looked like maintenance panels or support mechanisms. To the crowd, it probably looked like she was just catching her breath or looking for weapons. She was actually sabotaging the arena's environmental controls. Maya had spent weeks studying the complex's systems during her training time. The arena's environmental controls were designed to maintain optimal conditions for all species during fights. Perfect temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, even customized lighting spectrums. But those controls could be overridden by someone who understood the system and had physical access to the right panels. 25 minutes into the fight, as Vorthak Prime cornered her on a high platform with nowhere left to run, Maya triggered the modifications she had been making to the arena's systems. The ambient temperature dropped 15 degrees in 30 seconds. Vorthak Prime's movements immediately became sluggish. As a cold-blooded species, his reaction times were directly tied to his body temperature. The crowd, mostly warm-blooded species, barely noticed the change. But for the champion, it was like moving through molasses. Maya didn't waste the opportunity. She leapt directly at Vorthak Prime, using her momentum and his slowed reactions to get inside his guard. Her climbing gloves gave her grip on his exoskeleton, and she used her harness to secure herself to his back before he could react. But instead of going for a chokehold like she had with previous opponents, Maya had a different plan. She pulled out a small device she had assembled from arena maintenance parts during her sabotage runs. Essentially, a modified pneumatic pump connected to a flexible tube. As Vorthak Prime struggled to dislodge her, Maya jammed the tube into one of the breathing spiracles along his thorax and activated the pump. Instead of blocking his breathing, she was doing the opposite. She was forcing pressurized air into his respiratory system faster than he could exhale it. For a species that breathed through passive gas exchange, this was like being inflated from the inside. Vorthak Prime's struggles became increasingly frantic as his internal pressure built beyond sustainable levels. His exoskeleton, designed to keep things out, was equally effective at keeping pressurized air in. "Yield!" Maya shouted, her voice barely audible over the crowd's roar. "Yield now or your shell cracks!" For several more seconds, the champion continued to struggle. Then, as pressure readings on Maya's improvised device reached critical levels, he tapped the platform frantically. Maya immediately released the pressure and jumped clear. Vorthak Prime collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath through his spiracles. It took him several minutes to recover enough to stand, and when he did, he looked at Maya with something that might have been respect. "How?" he asked simply. "Humans are tool users," Maya replied. "We've been adapting our environment to beat bigger, stronger opponents for 300,000 years. You never stood a chance." The arena had fallen completely silent. The crowd seemed unable to process what they had just witnessed. A Category 5 species had just defeated a Category 2 champion, using tactics unlike anything in arena history. Finally, the announcer found his voice. "Victory! Maya Chen by submission! New Category 2 champion!" The crowd exploded into chaos. Aliens were shouting, arguing, celebrating, and filing complaints with arena management all at the same time. Security forces had to prevent several alien species from rushing the arena floor. As Maya was escorted from the arena, now with a guard of honor rather than simple supervision, Administrator Quilks approached her with an expression she couldn't read. "Ms. Chen," he said, "the arena's board of directors would like to speak with you immediately." "About what?" "About your future, and the future of human gladiators in general." Maya was brought to a luxury conference room high above the arena complex. The board of directors was composed of the wealthiest beings in the galaxy, species who owned entire star systems and controlled interstellar trade routes. "Sit," commanded the board chairman, a being that looked like a fusion of a jellyfish and a crystal formation. "We have much to discuss." Maya remained standing. "I won my challenge. I demand my Category 2 status and training privileges." "Miss Chen," the chairman said, "we are prepared to offer you something far more valuable than Category 2 status. We want to make you the arena's first human Category 1 champion." Maya felt her heart skip a beat. Category 1 meant facing the galaxy's most dangerous predators, things that made Vorthak Prime look like a house pet. "There's a catch," she said. "Indeed. We want you to help us acquire more humans. Your species has proven far more adaptable than our initial assessment suggested. We believe humans could revolutionize gladiatorial combat." Maya thought about her parents, her brother, everyone she had ever known on Earth. The idea of more humans being dragged to this place made her sick. "No," she said. The board members exchanged glances. "Perhaps you misunderstand the offer, Ms. Chen. We are not requesting your cooperation. We are informing you of our decision. Earth will be contacted about establishing a formal gladiator exchange program." Maya smiled, and something in her expression made several board members lean back in their chairs. "You're making the same mistake everyone here has made," she said. "You think humans are just another species that can be bought, sold, and controlled. Let me explain something about my people." She walked to the conference room's enormous window that looked down over the arena complex and the spaceport beyond. "Humans don't just adapt to their environment, we reshape it. We don't just use tools, we are tools. And when we're threatened, we don't just fight back, we eliminate the threat permanently." Maya turned back to face the board. "You brought me here as fodder for your entertainment. Instead, I've become your next problem. Because now every human who enters this arena knows exactly how to beat your system, and eventually, We're going to teach the rest of the galaxy how to do it too. The chairman's crystalline structure flickered with what might have been anger or fear. You are one individual, Ms. Chen. Impressive, but hardly a threat to our operations. Am I? Maya asked. Because I'm pretty sure your betting markets just collapsed when a Category 5 species defeated your Category 2 champion using improvised tools and basic physics. How much money did your patrons lose today? How many of them are questioning whether their other investments in inferior species might be equally misguided? The silence that followed her words was telling. You have two choices, Maya continued. You can try to force Earth into your gladiator program and deal with the consequences when my species gets angry about it, or you can make a deal with me. What kind of deal? The chairman asked reluctantly. I'll stay here voluntarily. I'll fight as your Category 1 champion, and I'll give your crowds the entertainment they want. In exchange, Earth remains off limits, and you establish a voluntary recruitment program for humans who want to compete. No more kidnapping, no more slavery. Just fair contracts for people who choose to be here. Maya walked back to the table and placed her hands on its surface, leaning forward to meet the chairman's multifaceted gaze. Because here's what you haven't figured out yet, she said. I didn't just beat Vorthak Prime today. I reverse-engineered your entire arena system in 8 fights and turned it against itself. Imagine what I could do with a year of Category 1 access. Imagine what a dozen humans could do. Or 100. The board members conferred among themselves in a rapid series of languages Maya didn't recognize. Finally, the chairman turned back to her. Your proposal is acceptable, with conditions. Name them. You will fight as Category 1 champion for a minimum of 2 years. You will participate in special exhibition matches against imported challenges, and you will assist in evaluating other species for combat potential. Maya considered this. 2 years was a long time, but it would give her enough experience to truly understand the galactic gladiatorial system, and if she was helping evaluate other species, she could potentially prevent some of the worst abuses. Agreed, she said, but I want it in writing, with legal protections filed with the Galactic Trade Authority. Done. As Maya was escorted to her new Category 1 quarters, which turned out to be a luxury apartment that was larger than her family's house on Earth, she reflected on how much had changed since her arrival. 3 months ago, she had been a high school student who worried about track meets and college applications. Now she was the galaxy's most famous gladiator and possibly the first human to negotiate a formal treaty with an interstellar corporation. But more importantly, she had proven something that would ripple through the galaxy's consciousness for generations to come. Humans weren't the weak, pathetic species that everyone had assumed. They were something much more dangerous, a species that could adapt to any challenge and turn any system to their advantage. Maya Chen had been thrown into an alien arena as fodder. She had become their apex predator, and this was only the beginning.